Hi everyone, welcome to our 2024 February ski trip. Once again, it was Brittany Ferries overnight Portsmouth Caen. Done about 70 miles since there. This is Air South Busier, Sud de Busier. And we are plugged in with the Audi there. Now a mate of mine is coming in his Merc EQC. So he has just arrived at the services. He was held up getting off the boat and getting through customs immigration. So he's about half an hour behind me. The Audi's almost charged. It's back up to about 90%. Got here with about 35%. I'm going to help him plug his Merc EQC in. He's never used a public charger before. He's never done a long run. He's never ventured further from home and been able to get back again without having to charge up. So it could be quite an interesting trip. Hopefully his charging account is all activated and working. I'm going to help him out get plugged in, and as the trip continues we can compare the Merc EQC with the Audi E-tron and let you know how things go. Richard's turned up with his EQC. He's got his MercedesMe Charging account and doesn't have the card yet. That hadn't come through in time before the trip, but we plugged in here at Fastned, selected the charger on the dashboard of the car, and it just started charging. It was a much quicker handshake than the Audi. It started charging after a few seconds, and at the moment it's pulling kind of 85 kilowatts, which isn't brilliant, but he got here with slightly more battery than I did, having got to Portsmouth with more battery than me. And we're going to go grab coffees and while the cars charge up, and then we're going to be on our way. Two options from here, either Ionity Nemours or Ionity La Reserve. The first one's 130 miles, the next one's 160 miles. We should make the second one without an issue. It depends how long we wait here for the Merc to charge before we get on our way. Now, the Audi did 100% charge before Richard pulled in. It really was charging well, 145 kilowatts all the way. The Mercedes is a bit slower on the charging, so particularly at the top end. So what we might do is not charge a huge amount here while we've got a good charging speed, go on to La Reserve, get there with a low battery state, or anti Nemours with a low battery state, and then instead of charging up to 80, 90, 100%, just charge to 60 or 70, make the best use of the charging speed that the Merc has got, and move on from there. But as always, the best thing to do is just keep it flexible as you come up with your charging plans. Just have yourself a couple of options and charge when it suits you to. So if someone needs a toilet break, if someone needs a coffee or a sandwich, that's your time to plug in and charge, rather have your journey dictated by the charging. Charge when it suits you, because it makes for a more pleasant journey. So just completed first charging stop. Easy to plug in?
Very easy to plug in. First time I've ever done it. No hitches. Get the MercedesMe app if you've got a Mercedes.
Yeah. Get your manufacturer's charging app, and then back it up with Octopus Electroverse or Ionity. If that's not giving you a discount from your manufacturer, that's the way to do it. But the Merc plugged in, it's charging up. Arrived here about 31%. It's now at about 82%. We can head down to the next charging stop. 130 miles away is Ionity Nemours, 160 miles away is Ionity La Reserve. So we're just going to hit the road, see how the batteries do, and charge up at the next one in a couple of hours' time.
What he said. You'll get more likes for that.
Thanks, Mel. This is Ionity La Reserve. We pulled into Nemours because one of the girls needed to use the loo and there was a spare charger, so I started charging while I was there. Richard was 10-15 minutes behind me in the Merc. We've both taken wrong turnings at some point coming out of Paris to pick up the motorway, which was our mistake, and I made the same mistake as I did before. Got to turn for Créteil when you come out of the tunnel. Must remember that next year. Anyway, pulled into here La Reserve. The Audi's finished charging, the Mercedes is still going. The Merc is definitely being a bit more efficient. It's getting as far on an 80% charge as I'm getting on a 95% charge. So the Merc is doing really well, and that's mitigating the difference in charging speeds. But I am full now, I could be on the road, and we're just waiting for Richard to go a little bit higher on his charge state. I might make it as far as Ionity at Masson Saint Aubin, but maybe we'll have to pull in a stop before that. So it's raining, but at least these chargers for our stop 3 are all undercover, which is helping. I had a little bit of an issue getting the Mercedes with the MercedesMe app to connect, but it's charging now. The Audi's nearly charged up, and that's a Fisker Ocean parked next to the e-tron, which is quite a rare thing to see. I've only ever seen one of them in the UK, but specification wise, fantastic car. Now for paying for this one, well, back at Ionity I use the Ionity app, but here I'm using Electroverse once again. Audi charging is just too expensive in France. You pay a subscription, you end up paying more than the Electroverse rates, and the Ionity is really decent with the Ionity passport, so that's why we're charging up now. Anyway, cup of tea and we'll be back on the road soon. So, charging stop number 4. We've got about 100 miles to run up to Resort. The Audi there, 146 kilowatts now at 50%. The Merc plugged in just ahead of me, he's getting 88 and still at 37%. We got here with pretty similar charge levels. What I've noticed is that there are a lot more chargers at every service station, but the number of electric cars on this journey has gone up massively, and the only time I'd ever seen full chargers was either when you stop at lunchtime, because the French all stop for lunch, or when you're at the last 1 or 2 chargers before driving up into the mountains. And here we are, we've got 2 more options into the mountains. BMW driver I was talking to in his iX was saying he got here with 1 mile left on his battery because the last couple of charging places were full, and I had to queue to plug in here. Only had to queue for a couple of minutes, but nevertheless I still had to queue. So, you know, it's the infrastructure's fantastic, but the number of electric cars has accelerated, and it has been really busy. So, you know, not the empty chargers that I experienced last year or the year before. It's much busier on the road with electric cars. Well, as you can see, we made it into Resort. So 4 stops, and we could have probably done it in 3 if we'd absolutely optimised where we stop. But a nice, comfortable journey, and all went very well for us. So yeah, stops are kind of dictated around, you know, sometimes like coffee and lunch and a cup of tea in the afternoon. And, you know, it just becomes part of the journey. And chatting last night over a bottle of wine, we kind of all agreed that actually, to my surprise, Richard doesn't absolutely hate EVs and wants to go back to diesel. He's very happy with his EV. He thinks it's a nicer, smoother, more comfortable way to travel. And we were all less tired getting here because we'd taken breaks on the journey. So long distance trips in an EV, I'm pretty happy with that. He's pretty happy with it too. And we'll go and call Mel and just let you know what she thinks.
Well, this part of the video I was meant to be showing you the interior of the EQC. I had a little ride in it. It's quite firmly sprung. It's very sporty seats on the AMG Premium Plus pack. It's a superb interior. It's really well thought out, and it makes the Audi look a bit kind of old-fashioned. It's a really nice premium quality car. It's a bit more compact than the Audi. Doesn't quite have the boot space. Doesn't quite have the interior space. But you know, it fits in a parking space, whereas the Audi tends to overhang, so that'd be why. Well, as you can see, things didn't go so great for me. I was going to do a segment on things you need to put in your car for a trip to France. I was going to talk about tyre requirements now in the mountains and snow chains and all of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to say one thing: E-HIT card or your G-HIT card and travel insurance. Make sure you have got one, because I spent the last 3 days in a French hospital with an emergency admission after I was taken ill. Pleased to say that the doctors in the medical centre in Leger saw me urgently. They thought I was having a heart attack. I wasn't, but I was in a lot of pain, and they got me blue lighted down to the local state hospital. And the people here have been superb at looking after me. But get your E-HIT card or your G-HIT card, and make sure that's in date and you got them with you for your trip. And also have travel insurance, because your E-HIT will only cover 80% of the costs of a hospital, and the French have a co-insurance scheme. So the French, the state pays 80% and their own insurance pays 20%. So that's what applies to us if you get taken ill on holiday. So my apologies for a lack of EQC content. I've got a few bits of the video. Hopefully you got the gist of it. It's a cracking car. The fact that it doesn't charge as fast, you know what? It didn't really matter so much. Yeah, it took a little bit longer. I mean, Bjorn Nyland's timed it about an hour longer than the Audi on a 1,000-kilometre run. We've just done a bit under that, about 850, 900 kilometres. It wasn't such a big deal, really. You know, you plug the car in, you go and grab a coffee. By the time you've rounded up your kids and got them back out to the car again, you've been charging a few minutes longer than you intended anyway, so no big deal. Anyway, stick with the channel. I am hopefully leaving hospital today and making my way back to the UK. My wife is going to be driving. She hates driving Audi. She doesn't like big cars. She's got a little Mazda 2, which is superb. And I'll keep getting the content up online soon once I'm well enough. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning in.